All right, welcome back. Math's easy, step by step. This part 7 video, we're continuing to use a products chart in order to add and subtract fractions. I'd also like to review with you again the fraction trick that you could use in place of that products chart. Let's just get right on in here to it. I have 1/4 plus 1/5. What is the common denominator? Okay, so you have to have the same bottom number, what's called a common denominator, in order to add or subtract the numerators, or the number on top of the fraction. Now, we're setting up a product t-chart here to show us visually what both 4 and 5, what products that they share, right? And so this is extremely helpful. But I'm also going to show you that trick where you can multiply both of the denominators to find a common denominator. Many times, not all the time, but many times you have to reduce that final answer. So again, I'm going to take the 4, I'm going to place it at the top of the chart, place 5, and put it right next to the 4. Then I'm going to multiply each of these values times 1, times 2, times 3, times 5, times 6, times 100 if I have to, in order to find the common product, or the common denominator in this case, that they share, right? And the better you get at multiplying, the easier this is going to be. You may not even need a chart to figure out what products 4 and 5 both share. But this is a helpful chart for you to find the least common denominator. That's the smallest number that both 4 and 5 share. Now, I do want to show you something. I multiply 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Those of you who are struggling with your multiplication tables, or you're just relearning how to do this stuff, addition and multiplication kind of go hand in hand. So 4 times 1 is 4, right? We start with that value. And then each and every time you just add 4. So 4 times 2 is the same as 4 plus 4, 8, right? 4 times 3 is the same as 8 plus 4. That's 12, right? 4 times 4 is 16. That's the same as adding 4 to 12. You'll get 16. Okay, 4 times 5 is 20, right? But 16 plus 4 is 20. That gives you the next value of the product. And so again, 4 times 6, you add 4 to the product before. 20 plus 4 is 24. Okay, so that's another little trick you could use if you're really struggling with knowing the products of maybe a 12 by 12 multiplication chart. That will help you if you practice that. 5 times 1 is 5. So add 5 to 5 and you get 10. That's the same as 5 times 2. 5 times 3, add 5 more, and you'll get 15. Right? 5 times 4, add 5 more, and you'll get 20. And on it goes, right? So that's another little trick you can use if you're really struggling with your understanding your products, okay? So you can see here, which is the smallest product that they both share? 20. So our least common denominator is going to be 20. Well, now that you know that, what are you going to do? You're going to continue to find that common denominator value along with the numerator. So I know 4 times 5 is 20. I'm going to multiply 4 times 5 to get 20. What I do to the bottom, got to do to the top. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus, plus. I know 5 times 4, I look over my chart, 5 times 4 is 20. What I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top of my fraction. So 4 times 1 is 4. I have 4 over 20. Now the denominators, or the bottom numbers, are the same. They stay the same in your answer. You're not adding 20 plus 20. The bottom number, that's your whole. That's your total of all the parts, right? Stays 20. And we add the numerator, the top values. 5 plus 4 is 9. Now here's a quick question for you. Can we reduce or simplify this fraction? 9 over 20. Is there a number other than 1 that can be evenly divided into both 9 and 20? It's got to be the same number. No, there's no number. And here's a key hint. It's something that helps you. It's not always the case, but majority of the time it works. If the top number is an odd number like 9 and the bottom number is an even number like 20, most of the time this fraction is going to be reduced. But sometimes there are exceptions to the rule. Even though you have an odd on top, even on bottom, or vice versa, even on top, odd on the bottom, you still can reduce. There are some numbers that will work. But that's a key kind of trick. Okay, speaking of tricks, I'd like to show you with a much friendlier set of fractions on the trick I showed you in the last video, part 6. So this is a fraction trick to find the common denominator. Again, that's just the same bottom number. And here I'm showing you it's the 20, right? So you can multiply the denominators that you have to find the common denominator, right? 4 times 5 is 20. So what number times 4 would give you 20? Well, I know 4 times 5 is 20. I just did it up here, right? So what do you do to the bottom? You got to do to the top. 5 times 1 is 5 over 20, right? Plus. 5 times 4 is 20, right? I just showed you that up here. So I'm going to multiply 5 times the 4. But I do to the bottom of the fraction, I have to do to the top. 5 times 4 is 20. 4 times 1 is 4. Now we've got that common denominator and a much friendlier set of fractions. The part 6 video was pretty intense, but doable, right? It was intense, but doable. So we keep that denominator the same, 20, throughout the problem and the answer. And we add our numerator, or the top numbers. 5 plus 4 is 9. Now, again, you always ask yourself the question, can we reduce the fraction? And no, we can't. Only one will be divided into top and bottom earlier, and I just mentioned that. So you can see how this trick works. The trick works if you're using a product chart to find the common denominator, or if you're multiplying the two denominators that you started with to get a common denominator, right? And so you always, using this trick or any fraction, you have to reduce your answer. So if I've helped you, this concludes part 7. If I've helped you, please help me to help others. Like, follow, share, subscribe. Remember, math is easy. Take it step by step. Stick around for part 8. And my other videos, as I continue to go over some of the basics of fractions. I'm going to start working on subtracting fractions, and I get into everything you need to know about fractions in my further videos to complete this series on basic fractions. Math is easy. Take it step by step.